You are listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast, a podcast by diehard fans for fans. Mark covers all things Penn State football and the Pittsburgh Steelers, as well as anything related to the sports and fitness world. Tune in weekly to listen to a couple of dedicated fans talk about these topics without filters. Thank you for listening to the Mark Lesko Podcast.
What's up, mateys? Welcome to the Mark Lesko Podcast. I'm your host, J-Rod, and this is Pirate Central. So in my last video, I made a promise that I was going to do everything I could to talk positively about anything. This video in particular will be actually the last one because, again, we're just coming off of the last series we just saw, and I'm going to have anything else to talk about except for the next following couple series. So we're still going to be on this one, but I promise I will try to make this the last one, I promise. So what my first pitch topic today will be about is accountability and who should have the most. Well, this is an ironic thing because if you think about who should have the most responsibility, it should, of course, go in the order. The owner, the president, the GM, the coaching staff and manager, and the players. But what actually do we care about as fans when we go to see a game? The players, the manager and the coaching staff, the GM, the president, and the owner. It goes backwards in terms of where our interests are focused on when we're there. And then when we actually sit back and after the game is over, we flip the script where it's like, all these problems, anything that's negative, it always comes down on the owner. And yes, the payroll has forever been the topic of why the team is bad. We all know why the team is bad because they don't pay players. And yes, because they don't pay players, they don't want to come here. It's very obvious that teams like the Chicago White Sox and the Miami Marlins and the Oakland, but soon to be Los Angeles or Las Vegas Athletics, they can't seem to want to spend money because, they want to be small market teams and they don't want to put a whole lot of into it. So anyone who's a player basically, shows they don't want to put any effort in. And that's really what this comes down to in terms of my accountability speech. Yes, the players need to take some responsibility, some, not a lot, but some responsibility to when things aren't going right. I mean, again, you can only take what you know, but it's kind of the movie thing for myself where it's like I always relate a situation to a movie where you watch a movie like Major League, the players eventually say, to heck with what the owner's plans are, we're going to go out there and win. We don't have guys like that on this team. We don't have rah-rah guys. We don't have leadership. We don't. None of these players, not even Kutch. Kutch has made it abundantly clear for a long time that he is a player. He's not a leader. He very much has made that a point. And I respectfully understand that. There are just some people in life that are meant to go out there and just do what they're supposed to do. I'm one of those people. See, not to put a soapbox moment for myself as a platform like this, but the problem with a lot of things today is that almost everything you do in life expects you to multitask now. It just seems like they're not satisfied with you just doing this. You have to take care of this, and this. Like you have to be the plate spinner that, at the circus doing all these ridiculous tricks to show how amazing you are. But unfortunately, with a game like baseball, it's simple. It's very simple. When you choose a position and you're a shortstop because you're fast, you're agile, you know how to pick it up and throw, you have accuracy. Like there's only the facets of your position are multitask abilities, but you're honed in on those particular responsibilities for it, and that's it. You're not asking to go into the clubhouse and get your team, galvanized or energized. You're not asked to, go out and endorse these other like the royalties, all the other things, like you go into like as a player and as a personality, it just seems like, yes, you have to have the ability to know that this is going to be your job at this point and you have to take care of this the next. Yeah, that seems like that's what baseball and what you're supposed to do on the field. Like, I feel like these players have already enough on their plate that it's like you can't ask them to go out there and do those types of responsibilities. I'm personally not looking for that. I'm personally looking for the players to play their positions and just go out there and perform. And right now, because of ownership and because of the inept and just completely, I don't care if we're winners attitude that this entire organization, if the people in charge have, then the fans expect the players then to step up and do it. And I'm sorry, but I am one of those probably few people that will put any blame on the players for this. There's just no way that you can look at what the players have to take care of and be like, well, you got to do more. No, I'm sorry, folks. That's the whole issue with this. That if you're an organization that wants to be competitive, you know that you have to put some sort of effort and actual care. You have to actually come out and say, we intend to do things the way you're supposed to. And these guys obviously don't do that. No one. Bob Nutting, Travis Williams, Ben Sherrington, for sure, does not do these things. So I'm not saying that the players have no responsibility, but the fact that I'm hearing people say like, oh, we got to lump the players in with, how the coaching staff does not prepare or they just don't care. It's like, well, obviously they don't care. Obviously they don't care to be better. These guys are doing everything they possibly can to be losers so things will get right. That's why you lose. So things will improve so that people will get fired and be replaced. But again, when you have an owner that does not care, they will simply just probably hire another person that acts just like the old guy, maybe even worse. I mean, you're looking at what just went down this weekend with Yinzerpalooza and the White Sox coming into town, and they just destroyed them. These players are not getting paid any better than the Pirates. These players don't have anything to play for themselves because of their record. But what did they do? They went out there and made complete and total fools of the organization that doesn't care. So what does that tell you? It does tell you that payroll really doesn't matter sometimes, and that when you have an opportunity to take advantage of something, you take it. And the White Sox clearly did that. They just enjoyed making these guys look bad, and they didn't care. This is right now where we're at. We are at rock bottom because, again, bad payroll, bad accountability, and they don't care to even show up when you could win against a team that is just like yourselves. But that's really what it's all talking about. I really don't know how Ben Sherrington will have his job after today. I mean, it's currently 8:36 in the morning, and I'm just hoping that at some time today, I see that the Pirates have relieved him of his duties. I mean, he has done absolutely nothing. Again, I said it in yesterday's episode. So talking about him some more, I mean, yeah, you have 2018 and 7 years. Some players could still be here. I mean, guys who have been around since 2018 when Neil Huntington got replaced by Ben Sherrington in 2019 or 2020. And you see like how many players are on this team that were there when we switched. And I believe it's Brian Reynolds, Brian Hayes, and Kutch. I feel like Kutch was here at the time, but I'm saying he was around when the Neil Huntington years were there and they made the transition. So you're talking about 3 guys, maybe O'Neal Cruz. Yes, and O'Neal Cruz, 4. So 4 players on a 26-man, 40-man roster. I mean, that's an eye-opener where it's like you only have seen 4 players survive in 5 or 6 years. The other obviously big issue when it comes to accountability is the ownership and the GM's inability to sign multi-year deals. This has always been a discussion where it just boggles your mind how a player can just only be signed to a 1-year deal. And here, obviously, here's the reason, because they know they don't want to be here any longer than that. They want to play baseball, but they are not going to go to a team that's not going to be competitive. They will not. Their agents refuse to make that a reality because they know they want what's best for their client. And what's best for their client is not to go to a city like Pittsburgh, who does not put any effort into being winners. And it's been a glaringly obvious problem for how many decades? How many years have the Pirates just put out a team and put them in uniforms, put them on the field, and shown what? That, they exist, that they are, a team, that they, it's just unbelievable how this team refuses to go out there and find talent or develop it. This has been the Ben Cherington issue. This has kind of been a Neil Huntington issue, kind of. I know he was way, way, way better at it than Ben Cherington. But, what was it? Littlefield was before Huntington. And what are you looking at in this century? I mean, I know the 90s were abysmal. I understand that. But you're looking at the whole decade of the 2010s, 2000s, and then a good deal of the 2010s. Like, you just have seen some of the worst collection of not getting talent, not developing it, and the whole result is if you had 1 or 2 or 3 guys, they were all traded away, and they all became all-stars on the other team that they went to. That seems to be the most wonderful slap in the face as to why this organization just cannot function. And cannot, the fact that the MLB has not stepped in and just been like, this has got to stop. The fact that they allow this to continue is atrocious. Like, this is your product too. Like, I'm sorry to say it like that, but it's like, I've said it before in a couple episodes ago, that it's like, how can you allow your store in the Pittsburgh region to just not bring in any sales or any kind of like decent accountability for why things look as bad as they do? And they just refuse to answer it. It's okay. It's all about what they get for themselves and not for anything else. The fact that the fans have to suffer through their inabilities to care, I mean, I don't know who or what is going to make that a better situation, but yeah, there's got to be winners and losers. But for crying out loud, can the Pirates have a chance at being winners? I feel like that's the thing. You have to ask for it. It can't just be based on what you bring in, because what you bring in needs to be developed, and they don't do it. That there seems to be so many different versions of a wall that you're constantly running into, and you cannot get around it. So this is really what it's going to be for the foreseeable future. I'm hoping it improves, but only time will tell. So that's my first pitch conversation. I'm going to move on to the 7th inning stretch, which is all the trade talks that are going to come down for this team. And what do you have? You have most likely, again, Andrew Haney, but he has been abysmal in the last, 7 starts? Dude has not had a decent outing, in probably 3 weeks, 2-3 weeks at least. And he has really diminished his value. And then again, when he was starting the beginning of the season, he was looking like the best thing we could have possibly picked up. And naturally, the ball is being dropped over and over and over after start. And what does that do to the trade value? Because, again, it was looking like, well, this guy's a real hot commodity. They'll actually give you a prospect or 2 or 3. And now it's like, we're going to give you Skippy Van Johnson for this guy because he's been 1-6 with like the worst ERA you can give. Again, it's just a remarkable coincidence that when trade talks and trade deadline comes, that it's like the players that actually can give you pieces, all of a sudden will just give you half a piece that's missing all of the, part of the puzzle, like just to give you a chip, like that's that. And we're going to get back pretty much nothing. We're going to get back the scraps that the team is trying to unload from their minor league system. That's the thing that really just amazes you. Many different organizations, like let's say the Dodgers or a team like, I know Boston has a lot of good prospects, teams that are kind of like in the middle, that it's like their team could elevate if they just had one or two of these to bring up. Their AAA prospects could wipe the floor with the Pirates' actual major league lineup. That's what we're looking at. This team is actually struggling to look good against AAA teams. So then we may have to go down to, like, if the Pirates took on Altoona right now, I'd like to know if we actually would have a chance of winning that game or not, because it just seems like we're kind of dead even. And so if you look at a player like Andrew Heaney, who has to be traded, you're lucky if you're going to go to a team like, maybe the Padres, maybe a team like Tampa Bay, maybe. Like that, I'm saying, like, there are certain, like, teams where it's like they'll take him, but we're not going to get anything back from their best prospects. And the thing, of course, the only player that would bring you any value, we're not talking about Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is off limits. They've made it abundantly clear the one player who will not be touched in any way, shape, or form, or they're not even answering calls about, is Paul Skeens. Mitch Keller is the other name. Now, he went out there and performed against the Twins, which you should. It's not a great team. It was a good team, but he went out and performed and yet still couldn't get the win. And his record, of course, completely is not on his part because there's absolutely no hitting going on. But yeah, he would bring the most value back. And what are you going to say about it? Because you actually need him to get ready for 2026, because Jared Jones will be back, I want to say sometime in May next year, maybe June. And all of a sudden it's like you have a rotation that would be strong, but Haniel will be gone. Falter will most likely be gone, regardless of, again, of his lack of starts and consistency recently. I mean, they have to be moved because these prospects, again, you watched a guy like Mike Burrows take on the White Sox, and he held it fairly well, and then the bullpen just completely destroyed any shot. So, yeah, you're looking at Mike Burrows, and you're just like, this poor guy, he has decent stuff, and he is going to be somewhat a part of the future, but it's like, really, this is what we have to look forward to? This maybe thing that could happen for him if he figures it out for himself? That's the thing about this. Like, I keep talking, like when I talked about accountability earlier, it's just like your coaching staff is supposed to improve you if you have problems. You should not be treating your employees, which are the players, like you have to figure it out. No, you have to be shown and taught how to do those things. You cannot expect these players to go out there and figure it out for themselves. No, that's the whole purpose of the people who are above you, to teach you these things, to get you to where you need to be. I mean, this whole idea of only having people that figure things out for themselves, I mean, maybe that worked in 1880, but it's not a reality anymore. I'm sorry. I understand technology makes people smarter in the sense like they can figure things out more efficiently with that stuff, but that should not be the attitude you take with a sport that has been around for at least 180 years. So these players, again, you're looking at what they can bring back for the trades. And IKF is your only position player that I can think of right now that would bring you value in terms of getting traded. That's, again, all on what the development and the fact is IKF is 30-some years old. He was from New York, Toronto. He had been around some other teams, and then he came here, and I'm assuming it's just because of the Ralph Kiner connection. I mean, that's the only excuse I'm going to say is like, why did we get such a decent player and he's in our roster? He has absolutely nothing to do with this problem because, again, he was acquired, and they did trade for a decent player. It happens once in a while, but that was the thing. He knows that he's not a part of the future here. He's not. He is just kind of here to get paid, show up when he's supposed to, and then move on to a team that potentially could have a better chance. Like it happens once in a while. Once every 20, 30 batters, we get a guy like him. Like we got Carlos Santana a couple of years ago, and that was such a big surprise. And, Rowdy Tellez kind of had the Tommy Pham issue where it took him a month or two to get going. And when he did, he actually had value. And I remember Daniel Vogelbach. I mean, talk about a big surprise. When we had the DH introduced in the National League, we got this big hulking King Kong-like guy, and he just smashed balls. And it was awesome. But again, those problems that they keep having, it's just all about what we have from this organization. They just, again, they don't trade well. They don't develop well. This is what you have. Like, I mean, I named how many guys? 4 guys between Haney, Falter, Keller, and IKF. These are the biggest names I can think of that are easily going to be gone. And will they do things right? I don't know. I mean, you're asking a team, like, again, Ben Cherington should be fired today. So whoever is going to take over for him has to do these trades. And do I expect them to go off script? No. I mean, the Pirates' organization, it would be a monumental thing if they were to, like, say, we're going to actually trade Mitch Keller to the Red Sox, and we're going to get like 4 prospects back, and they're going to be the best in their entire the top 100. And it's just like, my God, we would actually have a chance to take players that may not actually need development, but still we need to, like, find a way by next season to clean out all of the problems and bring in dudes that actually will make the team a better situation. I mean, that would, it's all obvious that could be a thing, but will they do that? That remains to be seen. So I'm going to close out with this. Knowing that this team had said for years, every season that, oh, we're going to get better. We want to improve on that. And then you watch these last 2 seasons with the 76 and 86 records. Yeah, seeing the identical years, and they were going to improve, and now they're even worse than what they've ever been. I mean, we're on pace to look like the 2010 Pirates. I mean, what was that, 62? Or it was 57, 105. Yeah, I mean, that sounds pretty on the nose of what's going to come for this season. And listen, we already know about the historic franchise losing record now because they have done it for the first time in 122 years. They are now a losing franchise since 1903. And again, what more could be said about how this owner and how this entire franchise has been completely and totally demolished. And it just seems like that's what they've wanted. Like, it seems like that's how they want to be. They want to be known for doing this to this city. And it's a shame. It's absolutely a travesty that this organization that has prided itself for many years of being something that people wanted to come and see, and they just have it all go away. It just took Ben Cherington 17, 18 years ever since he had become the owner to just do that. And I mean, that is an accomplishment in the worst way possible. So that's something you can always look back on. So impressive stuff. I mean, again, I'm going to try my darndest to make this the last video to sound like this, guys. I'm just going to move forward and just focus on things that can be positive. I know that is possible, but again, you're going to have to be looking at your, telescope, and, you're going to have to really, zoom in on it and try to focus, make it clear, but it will be there. So I really hope you guys have enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys for the next one. And until then, let's go Bucks.